Hi. So 10 years ago, this guy told a few people on a blog that he wanted to start something like PayPal for Bitcoin. Of course, they said things like, this is a bad idea, governments won't allow it, and fix your grammar, dude, the internet world, right? Anyway, he started his app. He called it BitBank, and he launched it in 2012. That is when the price of Bitcoin was $13. And ever since then, this happened. This dude's name is Brian Armstrong. BitBank changed into Coinbase, and this is the pitch deck he used to raise investment. Let's get to it. This is one of the pitch decks that I was very interested in seeing because Coinbase is such an interesting story, you know? It's not like they started an app or a solution like Airbnb. They went into an industry that is new, like cryptocurrency. So it was quite an interesting deck to look at. So let's get to it. So we check Coinbase, and that's the one. Yep. All right, so they started with, as all pitch decks that I've reviewed so far, and most of the pitch decks in this world, they started with a cover page to introduce the people to what they're about. And here, it's actually very important to start with a cover page because what they're saying in the cover page is introducing the whole thing. So they said your hosted Bitcoin wallet, which shows that they're really heavily invested in Bitcoin. At that time, that was in 2012, not a lot of people knew what Bitcoin was, and it was priced at $13. So it was quite important to showcase that this whole business model was dependent on cryptocurrency or on Bitcoin. They chose here to reference Bitcoin more than anything because at that time also Bitcoin was the most, and until this moment, was the most established cryptocurrency there is. So they started with a cover page. Very classic, and it's a good sentence as an elevator pitch. Your hosted Bitcoin wallet. He kept saying to people in the blog that this is sort of a PayPal for Bitcoin. So it's a good intro, and with an image of the product showcasing it, very simple to the point. Moving on, they are betting very strongly in Bitcoin, and what is important in this deck or in this pitch is to showcase that we want to show you what our vision of Bitcoin is. And their vision of Bitcoin is a new digital currency. It's not like an investment or something that is just going to go up and that's it. No, it's a method of payment. It's a new digital currency that has a few features that are better than all digital currencies that are there at that time. So it's instant, it's international, and it doesn't have a transactional fees. So when you look at this, it's quite convincing. Of course, especially if you don't really know what Bitcoin is, this is a very good intro for that. So they start by saying what Bitcoin is to ensure that people know that so that they would start pitching their info or their business model, which is PayPal for crypto. The slide afterward is very much similar. It's just a picture. I would assume it's a video or something. It's not really shown in this because the pitch deck is always in PDF, so it could have been a video. It just shows that this Bitcoin is international. Now, if you're a person who doesn't know or who don't believe in Bitcoin, we need to stop this thought right now. We need to show you that Bitcoin is huge. And that's why they started with statistics. Their market, or what is their market, and the growth of it. So $2 million per day in transactional volume. That changed dramatically. When you look at the whole chart, it changed very much. But still, at that time, when you look at this, it's good enough as validation for the investors to invest in such a product. Now, if you're asking who the market of Bitcoin is, of course, they never imagined at that time, no one would have guessed that the market would be me, you, and everyone who's looking at this video, because it has expanded widely. But at that time, they wanted to have a go-to market or a little bit of a focus on the target segment. And that's why they did say that there are early adopters, people who would use Bitcoin more than others, like e-commerce, like peer-to-peer, like microtransactions. And this is how it happened with a lot of other cryptocurrencies as well, like Dogecoin. It was supposedly a parody or some sort of gift token that you would give to someone, and it transformed into a very good currency. And this is why they're trying to showcase the target segment, who is going to be taking Coinbase from zero to something. They're showing some of their competitors. Of course, if they look like this, which are the current tools of how you use Bitcoin, it's quite complex. And then they show that Coinbase is quite easy and it's similar to the user interface we all know. So it's the perfect solution to the problem that competitors are complex. At that time, perfect solution to the perfect time. So after they introduced Bitcoin very well and showed you that Bitcoin is for the stay or is for the long term, and they told you a little bit that the other solutions are complex, now they want to tell you what Coinbase is. They want to tell you a sentence that you will remember when you go home. And that's why they said a hosted Bitcoin wallet. So it's sort of like a wallet that just keeps Bitcoin. At that moment, there weren't a lot of cryptocurrencies, but it's showing the actual product so that you wouldn't be like, oh, this is so complex, I don't know what Coinbase is. It's a wallet for Bitcoin. That's it. Again, a lot of people couldn't envision it, and you can't blame them. Right now, you know what Bitcoin is, but if I went back in time and asked you, you would have probably hesitated. Most of you at least would. So a very good comparison is what they did here. They said what MP3 is to iTunes is what Bitcoin is to Coinbase. So at that moment, you know iTunes because it was very successful with Apple, and what MP3 is compared to it. So they're putting a comparison for the reader so that they would understand how the connection of Coinbase is with Bitcoin. This was not a pitch deck that started before launch, so they launched already, and that's why they showed that they have a little bit of traction. So they have 20% daily Coinbase signups. Again, this is quite interesting because if you look at the numbers from 0K to 4K in a month, it's quite impressive by all means. So this 20% daily, even if it's not really 20% daily, but this number, if you see these signups on Coinbase in this amount of time, it's quite good. Again, it could be that they had a good marketing budget and they would just have boosted promotions and got these numbers. But nevertheless, having this is vital for a big investment. You need to showcase that there is a demand, and that's why they're doing that. They're showing you that there is a lot of signups, and there are a lot of signups that they're going to keep on coming. Traction, traction, traction. All big companies pitch tractions. Remember when I talked about Tesla's pitch deck and how it just was all about traction? This is very similar. So you need to make sure that we're good. And for that, this is the amount of transactions we had in the first 5 weeks. We had $65,000 in the first 5 weeks. This number is not big, but when you look at in the first 5 weeks very well, you would understand that, okay, the potential, if Bitcoin does grow, is quite big. And that's why it's a smart idea to put this slide. So this last slide is not a big one, but it is in some versions and it isn't in others. What is important here, the graph is an interesting graph because it showcases time, but what's interesting here is the contact information, which is what you really want your people to see, the readers to remember at the end of the day. If you want to invest, then send us something at coinbase.com. And always remember that Coinbase is your hosted Bitcoin wallet. This is what you're going to tell the people who ask you, where were you today? Who are you hearing about? Who's Coinbase? What's Coinbase? That's that. Even though Coinbase's stock is down 90% from its original price, this is such a motivating story. And the aim of this video is that you would analyze the pitch deck and understand how he used it to raise investments. Of course, it's not only about the pitch deck, it's a combination of the business idea, the pitch deck itself, the work of the team, and a lot more things. Nevertheless, this is to learn from. Specifically, when some people tell you that you have an idea that is a bad idea, or that the government won't allow it, or fix your grammar, dude. So don't let that stop you. If you like this video, let me know so that I would do further analysis of other pitch decks like the Uber pitch deck. You can do so by liking this video and subscribing to my channel so that I will keep on moving. Thank you very much. Oh, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.